Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. No? Why don't we just talk about how much money we make? What do Germans really talk about to their friends and family then? Hello you guys and welcome back to my channel Life in Germany. If you haven't been here before, Life in Germany is all about my life here in Germany, cultural differences, and some amazing tips and tricks that can get you started on the right foot over here in Germany. I have a freebie checklist that I have included down below that you can grab that will take you through a 12-step process of being able to get started here in Germany very smoothly and also being able to save quite a bit of money getting started. There are a lot of amazing things when it comes to German culture, but there are also some rules that we should probably be following before we dive right in. There are actually topics here in Germany that I would say not to bring up. Now, I've talked about things that you really should never say to a German in a previous video, but today I'm going to talk about 5 really big topics or themes that you probably don't want to be mentioning in conversation with a German. And I think it's really funny because I've watched a number of movies and videos and interviews on people asking Germans, what do you think is a taboo topic here in Germany? What do you guys not talk about at the dinner table with your friends and family? And so many Germans often say, nothing really. I mean, we're pretty open. We talk about a lot. But as an outsider looking in, guys, you talk about a lot less than we do in North America. And there are topics which I've personally experienced are very, very taboo here in Germany, and things that I really just don't bring up anymore because I've tried to push and pry my way into talking about some of these subjects, and it just makes a lot of Germans around me very, very uncomfortable. Now, a more serious subject here in Germany that I find to be rather taboo, and I think that a lot of Germans will agree with me, unfortunately, is talking and being open and honest about your mental health. This is something that North America does very, very well. We have a number of free hotlines, free support groups. Family and friends talk openly about this. There are a lot of us, unfortunately, that are medicated for anxiety and depression. I think that Germany does a really good job at actually battling it properly rather than just medicating people right off the bat. They have programs here in Germany where they can actually send you to like a burnout camp that helps you go through your mental health and understand what's going on and perhaps be a little bit more one with nature and talk to other people who are going through the similar situations. I think that is absolutely amazing. But being open and honest about your mental health within your family and within your group of friends is really, really tough for some reason. I bring it up a lot because it's something that I have battled with in the past, and it's something my entire family has battled with in the past, and pretty much every single one of my friends. I know all of my friends that have been medicated for mental health reasons, and not one of us has ever judged one another. And I think that this is so amazing, but unfortunately in Germany, it's just not a subject that we talk about. I wouldn't necessarily say don't talk about this to a German, because I think actually the more we talk about this, the more open we become and the more comfortable perhaps people in Germany feel about sharing their feelings too. Because I think the more open we are, the safer we are, and the quicker we're able to receive the support that we actually need. And then when I started questioning, why is this? Why are people so uncomfortable? I would straight up ask people, why are you so worried to talk about your mental health? Clearly you're going through something. Everybody goes through something. That, what would be amazing if we all looked at therapy as being on like a diet. You know what I mean? You go on a diet to make sure that your body is healthy, but nobody really focuses on the mind. If we all had the support and the money to do so, having a therapist is like something that should be at the top of our list. So the answers I received from Germans when I asked, why are you not getting the support that you actually need? Unfortunately, all narrowed down to 4 main points. Either they would say, Jenna, I'm not crazy. I don't need a therapist. Second point was, Jenna, I'll be fine. I'm just going through a rough patch. I don't need a therapist. Third point was, well, if it's on my health record, then my employer could find out. Fourth point was, I'll be denied from certain insurance benefits. Unfortunately, the last 2 I just mentioned can often be true. Sometimes they are actually required by law to release the fact that you are getting this mental health support, and may or may not impact your ability to work at your job. So for my family and friends personally here in Germany, I started diving in and looking into some alternative options. There are face-to-face therapists here in Germany. We figured out it costs about 100 euros for a 1-hour appointment, and unfortunately the ones that my friends and family visited also weren't the greatest help, and it took about 3 to 4 months to actually book an appointment, and they would wait another 1 to 3 months to book the second appointment. What I personally find really important is having a therapist who's available for you every week, all the time, that you can even just pick up your phone and text them. So one of my favorites, who also happens to be the sponsor for today's video, is BetterHelp. I'm sure you've heard of them before. BetterHelp offers online customized therapy with over 20,000 licensed and trained therapists. It is BetterHelp's mission to make therapy more accessible, more convenient, and a lot more affordable, so that really anybody who feels like they need to get support can get it anytime and absolutely anywhere. So with BetterHelp, all you do is you hop online, you fill out a detailed questionnaire, which I find absolutely amazing. You fill that out, you send it in, and they can actually connect you within 48 hours to the perfect matched professional therapist for you and for your needs. And depending on what you find most comfortable, you can actually conduct weekly meetings via phone or via video, and then you'll also have an unlimited opportunity to actually hop on the phone and just text them, just write to them. So if it's just one question that's been bothering you the whole day, you can shoot them over a message and let them know what's going on. And if you feel like it's not a fit, you can actually go online and request to switch your therapist at no additional cost. And depending on what you need exactly, you will either be matched with an accredited psychologist, family and marriage therapist, clinical social worker, or a board licensed professional therapist. So if you want to try it out as well and join the over 2 million other people who have used BetterHelp to get the support that they need, I'm going to include a link down below where you can actually get 10% off your BetterHelp membership for the entire first month. I really truly hope, despite this being a sponsored message, that you do check out BetterHelp. This is something that I have checked out not just for me, but for my family and everybody who's had the opportunity to experience therapy online with BetterHelp has nothing but incredible things to say about it. So let's jump back to those taboo subjects again. So let's talk about sex, shall we? Nudity in Germany is something that is so common, and I've also mentioned that this is one of my favorite things because being in Germany has allowed me to actually be able to embrace myself and feel comfortable in my own body. However, despite the fact that Germans tend to often be quite comfortable with their bodies, talking about these really intimate themes is something that a lot of people don't talk about. Now, I learned that right away when I met my husband because, of course, you know, the topic sex comes up at some point in time. And I thought it was just him, like, where he felt quite uncomfortable, you know, talking about the details of it, you know. You might find the odd German who's comfortable with talking about it, but even within relationships, I find that people are a little bit less vocal about what they enjoy, what they like in regards to sex. And then beyond just your relationship, being open within your whole group of family and friends. I find in Canada, we talk about sex a lot within our group of friends. Pretty much everybody knows everything about my personal relationship and my life. A lot of Germans don't really like this, they don't appreciate it, but this is something that I really did love about the Canadian culture and the American culture, is how open we were and how we were able to kind of talk each other through some certain steps that we might have been really shy or worried about when we were younger. Now, even if you are quite an open person and you don't mind talking about these kind of topics within your relationship, I know a lot of people in Germany don't talk to their mothers or fathers about this theme. You probably see, like, on American movies where the parents have to talk about the birds and the bees, using condoms, practicing safe sex, and actually in a lot of families in North America, it's quite normal to be quite open about this. Not all families, but I was quite privileged that my mom and I were very open from the get-go. So my mom knew the first time I drank, the first time I kissed a boy, she knew absolutely everything. And then when I came home with heartbreak and I was bawling my eyes out, I didn't have to pretend that it didn't have to do with something physical or sexual, perhaps. I could just be open and honest with her. And for me, that was a huge help growing up as a teenager and going through all of these mixed emotions. So that's something that I really loved back in North America, but that I maybe wouldn't suggest you really start conversations off here in Germany. The third taboo subject that I would say is talking about how much you make. Surprisingly, I actually have money conversations quite often with Germans. I think a lot of people really like to say, you know, how much they bought their house for, if they got a really good deal on a car. Money is not the issue. It's more so talking about how much you actually make. How much do you get in your paycheck each and every month? Now, Germans might say that they don't have a problem with this, but if I think about it, I can't even count 5 people where I know their salary here in Germany. However, on the contrary, in Canada, I'm pretty sure I know the salary of absolutely all of my friends. And I find that to be really, really interesting. I don't know why that is, whether it's because they don't want it to be unfair, if it's maybe because in Germany people actually do get significantly different salaries, but we are a lot more open about this back in North America. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. I just respect the fact that people don't like talking about their salaries here in Germany. I won't bring it up, I won't ask you about it, and I think that that's the way that most people prefer it to be. And when we're talking about work, let's also mention the fourth taboo subject, which is talking about your personal life at work. Things are changing, so I wouldn't say that that's necessarily always going to be the case. In these really young, you know, upcoming startups, I think that people are a lot more chill, a lot more open to talking about their relationships with their partners or their children or their life outside of work. But that's not always going to be the case. I think the more formal you have it in the workplace here in Germany, the less likely you are going to be talking about your personal life. So you might be a little bit taken back when you share a lot of information at the beginning. When you first moved to Germany, you first gotten your job, you want to share your life with your new colleagues, and they're like, what? It really takes a lot longer, I think, to build these friendships up. I mean, I've talked about the struggle of friendships before on YouTube, and it's tough to make friends with the German. But in Canada, it's not all that uncommon within your first month of working to be like, hey, you know, you want to come over for a beer, get to know my family. Like, I think that this connection between personal life and work life is actually really neat. But again, you have to respect the fact that some people just prefer to keep their work life and their personal life separate, and that's just the way it goes. And the fifth taboo topic is kind of, I'm gonna merge all into one, has to do with politics and refugees and the corona crisis. And talking about any of this is something that I personally try to avoid at absolutely all costs. Politics in general is always going to be a sticky situation or a sticky topic to talk about anywhere in the world, even in North America. But in Germany, I think if you do get stuck on this topic, you might never get out of it. When they do start talking about it, get really passionate and really worked up, which is okay, which means they want to talk about the subject, but sometimes things can end a little messy. So I try to just avoid the topic at all costs. And a lot of people here in Germany, unfortunately, have quite mixed reviews about refugees and how many refugees Germany is taking in, how much we should be offering, how much the government should be offering, etc. We actually opened up our home for 2 months this year for a Ukrainian family to live up here in this attic. And I definitely had mixed opinions about my personal experience. If that's something you guys are interested in hearing about, I am more than willing to kind of open up and explain to you what went on, why I had mixed thoughts about it, and what my tips and recommendations would be for you guys if that's something that you're considering. I am more than willing to share that experience. I actually was thinking of making a video in German to explain it for you guys. But yeah, COVID, the whole pandemic, again, a theme that maybe Germans like to talk about, but could be rather taboo depending on who you're talking about it with. So all in all, I would just say play your cards right. Just kind of step back and see what are people comfortable with talking about, what are they not comfortable about talking about, and just be open and understanding perhaps, because I mean, at the end of the day, it is a different culture and we all do need to respect the fact that we live here in Germany and we should be following cultural norms and following cultural rules, as long as that means respecting the German people and their German culture. So if you can think of any other taboo subjects, or you think I'm totally off point here, let me know. I don't mind. The comment section is down below for you guys. It is always a pleasure to be able to share these videos with you guys. I have a lot of fun with them. Vielen, vielen lieben Dank und wie immer, bis später.